Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Monday Morning Empowerment. I want to say a wonderful welcome to our Gospel Live 365 family that listen all over the world. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me this morning. Good morning, everyone. I so appreciate your being with me on this morning. I just want to share this thought with you. This is something that a friend of mine, Pastor Luke Maxwell, and I were expressing our thoughts on probably about 2 months ago. Before I delve into that, I want to ask you a question. I don't know what it was like for me, so I'll share a little bit of that. But how was elementary school, junior high school, and high school for you? I'll even go as far as say college. Were you overwhelmed by the grades you were receiving? Were you on pins and needles trying to make sure you got all A's or all A's and B's? Were you frazzled when you didn't? Well, you're looking at a person or you're listening to a person who got very frazzled when I didn't get all A's or didn't get all A's and B's. And it was a big issue for me, even all the way to graduate school. I'll even share a story with you. I think I've done that in a previous episode or session. But I remember when I was going to graduate school, and my goal was to get all A's in graduate school, y'all. And then my third semester, a visiting professor of the school gave me a B. I was floored. I came home. My mom was home. I said, Mommy, she said, how did you do? I said, not good. She said, what? I said, yeah, Mom, I got a B. She said, Hewlett, what's wrong with a B? I said, everything is wrong with the B, especially when you were aiming for all A's. And I was so frazzled. Mom said, Hewlett, you passed, didn't you? I said, yes, Mom, I got all A's and one B. She said, that's all you should be rejoicing about. I want to talk to you on the topic of today, just pass. Just pass. So here it is. I know when I was in elementary school, they used to give us, and I'm dating myself now, but they used to give us U for unsatisfactory or S for satisfactory. So you got a U or a S, and then as you matriculated further up in elementary school, they would give you G for very good or G for good. Then when you got to junior high school, you started getting A's and B's, in high school A's and B's, and then same thing in college. And as I was talking with Pastor Luke Maxwell, I was saying to him that it's interesting how they started us off. They didn't start us off with making A's and B's in pre-K and kindergarten and first and second grade and all the way up to sixth grade, and they started us off with the simple, easy stuff to be able to maintain. Their focus was, we just want them to get the information. We don't want to burden them with being an A student or a E or F student. We want them to gain what we are teaching them. So either they do well, satisfactory, or they didn't do too well, unsatisfactory. But it was not a demand on us. And as we grew and matured in school, they began to assign letter grades. All right? And I thought about that. Both Pastor Luke and I were talking about it, and I said, wow, that is the same way God is. His expectation for us is as we grow that we mature, and he wants us to pass. He's not there nitpicking, saying, well, you didn't make an A right there, or you messed up right there, and so you're going to get a B. No, he wants us to pass. So just pass and stop worrying about your grade level. Does that make sense? I thought that was freeing for us, because when we talked about it, we talked about the people that were listed in Hebrews 11. And the word of God, let me read it for you, the first two verses. It says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. For by it the elders, those who went through their situation, their processing, for by it the elders obtained a good report. It didn't say they made an A. It didn't say they made a B. It didn't say they made a C or a D, but it said they obtained a good report. All right. And that report, some of the translations I looked at says God's approval. They obtained a good reputation. They obtained affirmation and confirmation by God. So guess what? Guess what we're talking about today? We're talking about you just passing. Now, when I use the word just, it seems that it connotates or have a connotative meaning of just doing enough to get by. No, what God has placed upon my heart to share with you on this morning is stop being hard on yourself. Stop beating up on yourself. Stop thinking you're not measuring up. Stop thinking that you are not good enough. God says, all I want you to do is pass. Now, I haven't gotten to the clincher of what this pass is, but when I do, I'm telling you, it is time for you to release that thing to God. It is time for you to walk out that thing in what I'm about to tell you. Guess what your passing grade is? Your passing grade is not perfection. I know that man's disappointed some people, and I'm sure it liberated a lot of us. Your passing grade is not perfection. You know, especially when you grew up in a household where much is expected of you, much is required of you. And if you brought home anything less, you know, you were either punished, you were either ridiculed by your friends. But God says, no, I am not, your passing grade is not perfection. I know that sounds weird right now. Your passing grade is not perfection. Your passing grade is not a wealth of knowledge. You've got people who are walking repositories of knowledge, but that's not your passing grade. Your passing grade is not status on your job. It's not your status in your community. It's not your status in church. Your passing grade is not all that hard work you're doing. As a matter of fact, you want to know what your passing grade is? Your passing grade, and I hinted to it by going to Hebrews 11, your passing grade is to have faith. That's all that is required for you to be approved of God. Is to have faith. For you to have a good report. It's for you to have faith. You probably say, no, that sounds too easy. That's all God is requiring. Because see, couched in faith is a doing. Couched in faith is what would you say? A process, a moving forward, a matriculation, if you will. In faith are couched these things. And so for you and I, our passing grade is not an A. Our passing grade is not getting everything correct. My God. I'm telling you, when God gave this to Pastor Luke and we were talking about it, he and I said, Pastor Luke, you know, sometimes we're so hard on ourselves. We got to have all these I's dotted. We have to have all these T's crossed. We have to make sure it's the right punctuation at the end of the sentence. We have to do this. And God is saying, all I need for you is to what? Have faith in me. I am going to work through you because you believe on me. I am going to work through you and make sure things are done correctly and make sure things are done in excellence because what? I will be working through you. So stop getting overwhelmed, and I'm preaching to myself. Stop getting overwhelmed with making sure this is right and that is right. God says, won't you take a breath and just believe? Because see, when I know this for a fact, and you do too, when we try to fix things ourselves, when we try to make sure all the I's are dotted, when we try to make sure all the T's are crossed, when we try to make sure everything is in place, then God does not get the glory because now it's us. Now it's, well, look what I did. Yeah, I did this correctly. But when you and I depend on the hand of God to lead us, on the hand of God to guide us, on the hand of God to make sure the outcome is what he intended. My God, the outcome is what he intended, then we can relax. Because guess what? When we relax, we are doing the do part of faith. The word of God says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. When you and I are not frazzled, when you and I are not encumbered with what people think, when we're not overwhelmed with what they're going to say if this doesn't work out, if this doesn't happen, when you and I are confident in the God we trust, when you and I stand strong and believe what God has said and believe that it will come to pass, that is our work. Paul once said in the word of God, he said, show me your faith and I will show you my work. So our work is not being busy trying to make sure it all works. Our work is believing. Our work is releasing that thing to God. Our work is trusting God. So, God is saying to us today, all I want you to do is pass. All I want you to do is believe. All I want you to do is trust. Let me tell you something. In our walk with God over the years, we have blamed him for things that he shouldn't have been blamed for. We have accused him of stuff not coming through for us. And let me tell you, if you truly read Hebrews 11 and really investigate how these patriarchs and matriarchs and personalities of the Old and New Testament believed God, let me tell you something. Just by believing God, they got their grade. Just by believing God, they obtained a good report. Let me tell you something. In that chapter, it says, many of them died not having obtained the promise. Now, I know for some of us that may just, oh my Lord, you're saying, what? I believe and it's not going to happen, or I believe and the prospect is there that it won't come to pass. Can I tell you? Yes. You can believe God and it may not happen, but guess what? God says, with you, I am well pleased. You know why? Because you trusted him. Because you believed him for it. Stop beating up on yourself when things don't happen the way you believed it to happen. God says the process of faith has made you be pleasurable to me. The process of faith has allowed your faith to even grow greater. He says that we ought to grow in grace and in faith. Amen. We go from faith to faith and from glory to glory. Let me tell you something. If everything we believed for were to take place, we would become, this is just coming to me now, we would become so settled in this life that we would not look for the city that hath foundation, whose builder and maker is God. Abraham believed it. David believed it. Paul believed it. Mary believed it. Ruth, Deborah, Esther believed it. They were looking for a city that was built by God. And guess what? They left here not having seen the city. But I love this, and I forgot to write it down. It's coming to me now. When Jesus was on the earth, and he was talking about that before Abraham I was, and the Pharisees were saying, like, you are not yet 40 years old, and you're talking about before Abraham was, you were? And he said, Abraham rejoiced to see my day, and saw it. Believed to see my day, and saw it, and rejoice. Abraham looked to see the fulfillment of a word God gave him. God also prophesied to him of the city. He walked, he journeyed by faith. He kept, and you know what I love about his journey of faith? Everywhere he went, God says, I'm giving you what your feet touch. I'm giving you. See, he was looking for the city. And God is saying, because you believe me for the city, I am giving you wherever your feet touch. If you look into the sky, you can't count the stars, but your generation shall be more than the stars. You look at the sand, you can't count the sand grains, but your generation shall be greater than the sand of the sea. God said to Abraham, I am going to fulfill this. And guess what? It is being fulfilled every minute and every second. Every second someone believes on Jesus Christ, they become the children of Abraham. Why? Because they believed. If you will confess with your mouth and believe in your heart, you shall be saved. Every time we believe, we become children of Abraham. We're a part of the stars that he couldn't count. We're a part of the sand that he couldn't count. Let me tell you, God is saying to us on this morning, all I need you to do is what? Believe. That is your passing grade. That is what affirms you. That is what pleases me. The word of God says, for without faith, it is impossible. Now, that's a huge word. You know, God actually, that's saying, Paul actually wrote, not Paul, but the writer of Hebrews actually says, impossible. For without faith, he didn't say, you might not please God. He said, It is impossible to please God. For any one of us that come to him must first believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. God says the mere fact you believe on me, there is a reward intrinsically set into that thing, into your faith. Every time you and I believe, there is a reward. It may not be the reward that we're looking for. It may not be what we are believing for. But God is saying unto us on this morning, is encouraging us on this morning, stop worrying about what people are saying. Stop worrying about how you look to them. Stop worrying about, what you should be doing from not what you should be doing. God is saying to us, believe. And from that belief, I will guide you. From your believing, I will orchestrate your steps. From your believing, I will put things into order. You don't have to try to be working overtime to make sure this thing is right. You don't have to be calling Joe Schmo to make sure he's going to come through for you. Begin to believe on a higher level that God is able. And he says, when you believe me, that's your grade. That's your passing grade. You don't have to worry about, your report card, because in the comment section, you know what's funny about me? When I was in elementary school, I did well. But in the comment section, oh my goodness, it used to say, Hewlett talks too much in class. Yes, but I'm going to tell you, on my report card that I get from God, it's going to say, Hewlett did well. It's going to say Leah did well. It's going to say Emily and Tony did well. It's going to say Annie did well. It's going to say Annette did well. It's going to say every one of you who are watching, Anais and Jody Ann and the rest of you, is going to say in that comment section, well done. That is the report card that you and I need to be focused on getting done. Having faith. It will say, well done. And that is a report card that the devil can't touch. My God. That is a report card that your enemy can't go and erase the grade or go in on the computer and manipulate the grade. That is a report card that your God, your good Father, is giving you every time you believe him. So just pass. Just believe. Just trust. You and I join those that are ranked high in the hallmark of faith. Every time you and I believe God, whether or not we see it or not, again, it's coming back to me, whether or not we see the fulfillment of what we are believing God for, the mere fact that you and I believe, we have obtained a good report. And I know God has done things for you that you've believed him for, but there are times when the process is building our faith. When it's all about building our report card, believing God. So in this season of our lives, let us continue to trust God, knowing that he's the one that's going to say, well done. Now, we're not even just saying well done at the end of time. We're saying well done, period. Every day you walk by faith, because the word of God said we walk by faith and not by sight. So this walking is a lifestyle of pleasing God. So you thought pleasing God was going to church and raising your hand and worshiping all the time? Yes, that's wonderful also. But the word of God says really, in order for us to truly please him, is to believe. When you and I believe him no matter what, that is, you're just passing. That is you accomplishing that which God has ordained for you to accomplish. So I pray you were blessed by this word. Continue to trust God. Continue to believe him. Like I said before, everything that we desire, we may not be able to see. We may not get. But guess what? The greatest thing you could ever have is the ability to please God. And you and I have that. We just made our passing grade. Every time we believe, we just passed. Every time we trust, we just passed. Every time we release and relinquish our hold on things, when God is saying let go, And because we trust him. When God is saying it's time to move from this place to this place. When God is saying you need to come out of that relationship. When God is saying you need to hold on to that relationship. When God is saying you need to let go of that burden and stop carrying it. When God is saying all those things to us and we do it, it's because we trust him. And out of our trust and our faith in him, we are obedient. So God bless you on this morning. May your day be beautiful. May the rest of the week be wonderful for you. And guess what? Say to yourself, all I got to do is what? Just pass. Yep. Just pass. Just believe. God bless you. Love you. Have a great day.